Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. Last week at Coffee Hour, we had a lively conversation about the topics, including crime, violence, carjacking, sexism, racism, misogyny, and where to get the best pancakes. So it was pretty much the standard fare conversation. It's been something we've enjoyed all during the pandemic is coffee hour, which was always my favorite part of church life. Last week at National Cathedral, Randy Hollerith gave a sermon, and he asked in the sermon, he said, years from now, we'll look back and say, well, where was the church in all of this? And that is a very good question. People at Gallup have been telling us for years that the number of people who identify themselves as regular churchgoers has remained pretty steady at 40%. But people who actually count the heads in the pews in churches, synagogues, and mosques tell us that actually the real number is probably closer to 17% or less. And all the while, we've been getting the message, those of us who do attend church, that we need to change and be different. And really, increasingly, instead of a spiritual message, we've gotten instead a political and kind of a browbeating about how we're really terrible people. And I'm not going to debate that I'm not a terrible person, but I don't know if I come to church for that. Most people come to church, for something different and to take themselves out of their regular life through the beauty of the architecture and music, and to have a challenging and thought-provoking and conceptual message that again expands our thinking and takes us out of our realm in a positive aspirational way, as opposed to really a demoralizing and kind of discouraging message that everything we need to be different and change. But ironically, many of us during the pandemic have changed, and we are different, and we have moved on. And for some of us, that means no longer attending or belonging to a church community. And that's probably more to the detriment of the church community than it is to our community. Someone at Coffee Hour recently explained to me that, whenever we create the other, that's somewhat problematic, and has negative ramifications. Um, I know in my church life and evangelism committees, we often use the term the unchurched, and to refer to the people in the marketplace who were not familiar with church, had never attended church, and were not familiar with religion. And I think that was a way of identifying the market, but probably had more to do with us than it did with the supposed other or the anything. Probably whenever we label anybody it's probably has more to do with us and says more about us than it does with supposed other. But the person at Coffee Hour went on to explain that this is a phenomenon that she ascribed to white middle class people, that we have a tradition of singling out some group or some segment of society as the other, to discriminate against or to subjugate to whatever we think of as the good people versus the other people or the bad people. And we've traditionally done this, and we could see, according to this person, and I do give it some great credence, the Jewish people, Black people, and gay people, and maybe conservative people. But now we have a whole new class of the on people, and that's probably going to have some ramifications long term. Um, Less so on health, but more on our humanity. I think Dean Randy Hollerith did. He brought up a very good question. Where is the church in all this? And a mission and a message of bringing love into the world has somehow gotten lost in this shuffle. And instead of being fully humanized in this process, we're running the risk of really becoming fully dehumanized. And we certainly don't want anything to do with that at Sunday Coffee Hour. If you would like to join us for coffee hour, I'll include my email in the description, and I'll be happy to send you an invite. And I look forward to seeing you there very, very soon.